And as I return, thanking you for coming back and listening to, this is what I'm going to call, I guess, Avengers 4, so to speak, but I'm just going to open this up. No, actually, I'm going to call it Avengers Assembled the Infinity Gauntlet. Avengers Assembled the Infinity Gauntlet, because that's what I believe the name of the sequel is going to be. Either one or the other, or both, if you ask me. I know that they've been trying to hide this once again. If you've listened to the earlier episode where I described studio manipulation from Marvel, trying to keep everything hush-hush and how hard it's going to be, regarding the name of the sequel and the storyline and what else is going to happen in the film. You can just go back and check that out. Actually, there was a bit of a reveal on Collider. I can't even remember it right now, but they were talking about something that I believe I might have mentioned, or I was going to mention, but I'm just going to do my thing anyway and it'll pop back up. I can't remember if it had something to do with Valkyrie. Anyway, whatever. So I'm just going to go into, if I was putting together this film, I'm not going to say directing, but I was structuring this film, kind of what I would do for the sequel. Just some of my loose thoughts. As we know, or as I've stated, and as you may know, whatever, that for next year, the first Marvel film is going to be Miss Marvel, or are they going to call it Captain Marvel, whatever, and we're going to see her evolution, how she, came to be and whatever. And then a few months later, we're going to go into, or 2 months later, because I believe it comes out in March, then we're going to see the Infinity Gauntlet. So, like they did with Black Panther, you don't have to open up the Infinity Gauntlet with Black Panther. So you don't have to open up the Infinity Gauntlet with Miss Marvel, because we know that there's going to be a tie-in at the end, post-credit scene, that's going to go into the present day, because remember, this setting for Marvel is in the 90s. It's going to go in the present day. She's going to get the call, and it's probably going to be somewhere where it's going to be like, whoa, it's going to be, I think that the post-credit scene is going to be very slick. It might also be a revelation of another superhero, like maybe Nova, the Nova Corps or something to that effect. Because I believe that, I don't know a lot about her character. I know that she's been, compared to being like a female Tony Stark, sense of humor, smart ass, ultimately like extremely strong. But I think, it's going to be some sort of a revelation with, when she gets that call and who she's with, that's what I would do. It'd be a great lead-in to see her with the Nova Corps, or, let's say Silver Surfer, somebody. Excuse me, I'm doing this very early. Someone that's going to make you anxious, to go, oh my God, this is going to really be hot, because we have, not only are we going to have her, but now we're going to see such and such and such and such, because they were in the post-credit scenes. That they're heading, to, go to the Avengers home base in upstate or whatever. Anyhow, so I would open up the film with the opening of the cocoon that we saw in the last Guardians of the Galaxy. And it would be the birth of Adam Warlock, You see him, come out. He's already a full grown man. He's not going to be a baby. And probably within the 10 minutes or so, it would be a little different than the Avengers. I mean, if this Infinity War, it wouldn't be high end opening action immediately. You would just see the first, 7 to 10 minutes of Adam Warlock coming out of the cocoon, or just basically telling the story of Adam Warlock to get the audience amped up. You know that he is a major part in the comic book for the Infinity Stone, and set that up so that you know that he's on his way, and somehow maybe he's going to interact with Miss Marvel, because in my mind they're in another. Sorry about that. They're in another universe or another galaxy. Because remember, they were on this ship. He was on the ship with the golden chick. I can't remember her name. And we don't know where they were at. Well, all I remember is that the Guardians got away from her, and she was like, until we meet again, whatever. So, yeah, I would open it up, and you would kind of watch him evolve within the first 7 to 10 minutes, with transition and exposition. So you would see him birth, and then you would see basically how smart he's, becoming. I'm going to pause this for one quick second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I was speaking on Adam Warlock, opening up the film with him so that you can, understand that he's going to be completely introduced in this film. Somehow they're going to have to, I'm not going to say they're going to have to, somehow I would tie in, and I'm saying somehow because I'm inserting, this is my story, and I'm flipping my story based on what they already have on paper. So I have to insert with what the MCU has already done. I would tie in Adam Warlock, his connections. I would explain his connection to Thanos, even if, because Adam Warlock is like this really powerful individual, and I would tie in his connection, with him, even if it's just feeling a presence of chaos, something to that effect, and that, leading to Thanos. I know that there's one book or storyline where Adam is also in the soul gem with Thanos. So that would be an interesting tie-in. Doesn't have to happen in the beginning of the film, but somewhat throughout the film as we extract more information throughout the story. Maybe he's able to get himself in there when they recreate the stones. Maybe he'll already be there, on another side of the soul gem, but I would definitely integrate Adam Warlock within this story and possibly set him up for the Guardians Part 3. And I do think that the Collider news might have been about Adam Warlock as well, like some sort of a... Oh, no. It was about something else, and someone else mentioned him, saying, hey, I hope we get to see him. That's what it was. Why am I even bringing that into the conversation? It is what it is, just a thought that just popped up. And I think that someone mentioned in the film, and I think I also heard that someone mentioned that Thanos' father was a Celestial or part of the Celestials. So maybe that would be a tie-in to bring those characters in. I'm not sure. It would be interesting to have another tie-in with the Watchers. That when they appeared with Stan Lee and the Guardians, it'd be interesting. especially if they're going to bring in Silver Surfer, which I do have a feeling they probably will be. I do feel that we will either see Silver Surfer or the Fantastic Four um, in this film. I also believe that Nebula is going to be a factor, a very important factor in this film. If they're sticking closely or sticking a little bit to the comics, because she was the character that was able to get the glove off of Thanos and have the gems. But now we know that, it's in Wakanda and it's burnt out. So maybe she'll be the person that will end up killing him, you know, in this story. But I think that it's going to be very interesting. I mean, not. It just depends on what they're going to do with Nebula and Tony Stark. If we're still going to see them on that planet, on Titan, or if they're already going to be back here on Earth. But I think that would be a lot of humor going on between those two if they decide to go that way, or at least I know I would, because she's very serious and Tony's very, playful minded, quick witted, but she's also, part machine. So, the level of intelligence that she has could be shown a lot more, as I say, through exposition of character in this storyline. Excuse me. I also feel that her character, because there's been a lot of talk of sacrifice, from the, there's been a lot of talk of sacrifice. Will it be Tony? Will it be Cap? Yada, yada. My feeling is that Tony Stark isn't going anywhere. Especially, you have to see the relationship that he just rebuilt with Pepper Potts. That has to blossom, especially if they're going to do this child storyline. And I also don't think that they're going to kill him off now, because people they know that the fans are interested in seeing the quote unquote Illuminati type of storyline with him, Strange, Reed Richards, I think Submariner and Black Panther, I believe it is. So just the, alluding of that. I don't know if it's going to be at the end of this story. I think it would be very interesting if they have a number of post-credit scenes. And I'm just going to go on the record so that it's known that I said it here, because I mentioned this to my sister in the theater. It would be a smart idea, because they do this on television. When Marvel or anyone else, they're doing their post-credit scenes, just take the titles and shrink them down. A box in box type of edit where you take the titles and you shrink them down, and then you enlarge in the scene so the scene would fade in. Or maybe you do some sort of a split screen where it pushes over to the left or the right, and you're able to bring in your post-credit scene, rather than having the audience sit through the entire watching of the credits. Because let's keep it 100, everyone's not watching the credits. Let's just be honest. There's no 14-year-old kid that's sitting there interested in who's doing the visual effects, makeup, unless that's their aspiration, so it would just be something that. And also, I've noticed that on the last, when I saw the movie the first time, you have your ushers, they're waiting outside of the movie theater looking to come in so that they can clean up. And then they can, have the theater prepped and ready so that the new crowd can come in. So, if it's 100, the film was 2 hours and 14 minutes, you have, I'm going to say at least 4, and I'm being mild, 4 to 7 minutes of credits, and within that time, as the credits are going, you're putting in your post-credit scenes. So that's 7, minutes that the ushers have to wait by the side or outside, because you have a lot of people that get up in the movie theater and they wait by the entrance next to the ushers so that they can watch the credits go. So it will be wiser just to merge the credit scenes as the titles are going up, rather than stopping the titles, put in the credit scene, then putting back in the titles. No, split screen it, so that people could see what they're going to do and they can get the fuck out of the theater, and the ushers can come in while the credits are still rolling, clean up, and then you can have your next screening, which is probably one of the reasons. I'm not saying it's a main reason, but I know there are a number of times where a film is, is supposed to start at 12, and then it starts at 12:15, 12:20, 12:30, whatever, but that's neither here nor there. Sidestep. Maybe I'll just make that its own separate episode, its own little private mention. Let me go back to Nebula. So yeah, I think that I would highlight her, give her a little bit, even if it's just, like I said, exposition through character. I like that a lot because it reveals a little bit more, who a character is. And, Nebula, she doesn't get, we know who she is, we know what she's capable of, but she doesn't get a lot of light in finding out her sensitive side, her this side, her that, a little bit more, especially with her playing a part. But, yeah, I don't think that Tony Stark is going to bite the dust. I think if this is what I would do. If I had to make someone bite the dust, it would either be Nebula or it would be Steve Rogers at this point, because he's not considering himself Captain America. It would be Steve Rogers. And how I would do it is because he and Tony are on speaking terms. There would still be a little uneasiness between them because they're going to have to meet up. Which is, that's happening. If he's going to die, he should sacrifice himself, saving maybe Pepper Potts. I think that would be awesome. And I'll leave it at that. I'll just put that to the side, that little gem to the side. Basically, from what I've gathered, is that they're going to, after Shuri reconstructs the glove, basically Shuri and the scientists, Shuri, Banner, Stark, maybe Nebula, they're going to get together. They're going to be able to put together the stones. I don't know if they're going to be able to do all of them, but they're going to be able to put together the stones. If they can get the soul, what is wrong with me? The soul gem that they need, soul stone or whatever, to find either Thanos or to find where everyone else is. If they're all together in that soul stone, as I stated in the other episode, it'd be cool if, we finally get to see where they're at. If they would have left the cliffhanger with that, but if they're gonna have to go back in time, based off little clips that I've seen, images that I've seen, which is they're gonna have to go back in time, and remember, they mentioned Thanos using or hiring Loki to get the Tesseract. So going back to the first Avengers, I think that they're going to have Ant-Man and the Wasp in that story. Of course, now we're going to see Hawkeye, as I mentioned before. Excuse me, and if I didn't, I'm mentioning it now. A lot of people forgot that Jeremy Renner got injured, so I don't know how much of 3 he was supposed to be in. So, yeah. So we're going to see him, of course, in 4. In Infinity Gauntlet, I'll say. So the meeting up of Cap and Stark is imminent. That's going to happen. They're probably not going to really do a lot of talking as far as mending the fence, but I think it would be an excellent idea if they're going to sacrifice Steve. It would be through him saving Pepper Potts, so that kind of, bitter taste, kind of kills that whole thing. Do I want to see him stay? Of course, as I've already mentioned. in the other episode. And I think it would be, if they do go that way, I think, to avoid the Hollywood cliche and not be corny, I don't think that, you know, you fast forward or you wait till another, Iron Man or Avengers or whatever, and you see Pepper Potts with the baby, and the baby's name is Steven. I think that would kind of be, or Steve, you know, because isn't Doctor Strange, isn't his name Stephen Strange as well? So you have, whatever. Then again, that would be a good play to call the baby Steve or Steven, and then Strange thinks it's about him, and then no, it's actually about Cap or something like that. It'd be a good play if they would do that, but it'd still be kind of corny. I also believe that the Hulk will get his payback. We're gonna have to find out. I mean, of course, we're definitely going to see the Hulk. I do believe he's going to come back. It's just about how. I think a good idea would be when they're reconstructing the glove, if he's able to get the glove on, because you just can't. It doesn't make any sense to have him, this big ass, warrior type goddess. Oh my God, I just deducted him to a goddess. This warrior type god like figure in Ragnarok, and then just to have him, diminutive, type of figure when it comes to Thanos. So there should be some sort of, payback. Even if he just gets 5 good hits in, I just think it would be extra gravy. It's, they need some sort of power, because there's a power stone. And what better person, if they're able to, put it into the story, like, it's going to be great power. I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know who can handle this. Hulk. Give him the fucking stone. He gets in the battle with this guy and just, gets his payback. F's him up real bad. And then that kind of evens the score, for the future. Doesn't kill him, just gets his payback. So it's even, because it's going to be kind of weird to have him still be fucked up and then go into another storyline. I mean, then again, it is strictly comic stuff anyway, if he just doesn't get payback at all. But we do see the Hulk come out. He smashes, some shit and some people and whatever. And then he just never has that fight again with Thanos. It is what it is. But that's what I would do. Also, oh yeah. This time I had notes, people. When they go back in time, you're going to see Agent Coulson's coming back. That's going to be the return of Agent Coulson. I haven't been watching the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I didn't want to see a watered down version of seeing him on the cinematic screen and seeing the Avengers, because they introduced that fresh off the Avengers. I didn't want to see a watered down version of a show, so I just kind of stayed away from it. I think it's in its 5th season now. So actually this would be a good time to, because I know that, we all know that Disney's starting their own channel, to kind of kill that show now. It's ran its course. It did 5, maybe 6 seasons. Maybe let it go this one season and do some sort of a small tie-in. It would be interesting to see those characters in the Infinity Gauntlet, because then I would get curious and I'd go back and watch S.H.I.E.L.D. I probably, won't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for like a while. But yeah, I do believe, we're going back in time. Knowing what's going to happen, because when he got killed, he was in the ship with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. I don't know if there was another Avenger that was in that ship, but maybe Ant-Man might be in there, because he was the only one. Everyone else was in the field, and he and the Wasp, they're new now into that storyline when they go back in the past. So I do feel that it would be a wise move for them to bring back Agent Carlson that way, and he doesn't die, and now he stays on, because now we're basically, what they're doing in essence is, and I'm learning that this is what's happening as I'm speaking to you guys, is you're creating a new timeline and thus like a new universe, and this is what's setting up for phase 4. I do believe that you're going to see an evolved, more mature Peter Parker, especially if they give him the realization of him knowing that he died, or he died, and then he goes and he's in one of the gems or whatever, and then he comes, he's alive with the rest of the guys, and they're all getting to know one another, and he knows what it feels to be, dead, to go through that. And they need to stop calling him fucking 16. We need to bump up this age now to 17, 18. He needs to be after the next, Spider-Man. And it's funny because they did talk about what I mentioned in the previous. I think I'm hearing a lot of people slowly saying what, but not outwardly saying what I said. With, we know that there's prequels, so to me, it's like seeing the deaths kind of really didn't impress me in the first story. But go back and listen to that, and I'll explain why. But I do think that we should go 2 years. Honestly, I don't even want to see fucking Peter Parker graduate. I want to see him, if we're going to do the next Spider-Man, just have him. He's already, the end is the graduation. He's with Aunt May, like it should start, and Peter Parker, he's come to get his degrees, his diploma with the rest of the students, his sidekick, whatever. And let's just get him into the fucking Daily Bugle. Let's not play this. He's still young, and then we got to wait for the next Spider-Man, and then he's out, and then by then he's doing the Daily Bugle, because it's got to get to the point where they got to start spitting these out, because people are going to start, you have your own studio. I'm not knocking Tom Holland, because I don't know how many other films he's booked. I personally, they should have jumped on the Back to the Future sequel with him a while ago, so I guess, and that's a whole other thing that I'll get into maybe. If they're going to do that, if they were ever in talks of doing a fucking Back to the Future sequel, not a reboot, sequel, then maybe I could see them keeping him the same age, because these studios, they do talk to one another. And Back to the Future is Universal, I believe. And Universal, I believe, also has the rights to the Hulk. Excuse me. So that would be a nice little, anyway, whatever. So yeah, I do believe that when we see him in his own film, it's going to be a more mature Peter Parker, more, willing to take more risk and just do more crazier shit, because he's already been dead, and more of a like methodical thinker. Anyhow, also, if we do go in time and we do go to Ultron, if the Ultron storyline plays a part in it, actually it does, because the gem was given to Vision in that story. I would go and spend, maybe 15, 20 minutes. You seen them do, because all you're doing is that you're going to take the outtakes, the extra footage that we did not get to see from those films, put them in, also put in some of the older footage, so that you remember what they did. So maybe when you see in the first Avengers them standing on the little bridge that's on Grand Central, when they all assemble and you see the camera go around them, they're probably going to insert more heroes. You'll see Ant-Man, you'll see the Wasp, whoever else they're going to put in, Strange, I don't know, whoever else that they're going to have, kind of in that circle. Can't be too big, but Yeah. Uh, if you're gonna go back to the Age of Ultron, which is how he gets the gem, and they're gonna be able to, you know, get the gem, you got to bring back Quicksilver. And now Quicksilver lives, because we know in the comics, you know, characters always come back. So it'd be a great way to bring back Quicksilver. And then, so when we finally get to see Wanda, after all the dust is settled, she knows that her brother's back. It'd be awesome, to excuse me, just have him in that one shot, and we haven't really seen. I mean, especially now that they have the rights with Fox, and the other Quicksilver, what's her face, Peters. He's probably not going to be Quicksilver after this last X-Men film. That's going to be Ixnay. I'm gonna pretty much bet on it because if they're gonna do Quicksilver, it's gonna be the Quicksilver that they cast. My voice again. Excuse me. It's gonna be kick-ass. I'll go like that. It's gonna be kick-ass. So as far as everything else, I'm not really sure because if I have if I have more thought on it, because like I said, I gotta watch the film again and still think on a little bit more. But that's what I would do. I would completely introduce Warlock into it. As I also stated, in the other episode, you promised us over 70 something, 75 superheroes. So now you got to cram another, 60? Because you're counting, I'm sure they were counting the ones that we already saw, so you're going to have to cram another 60 into a 3-hour film. And I'm taking that it's going to be mostly cameos. And the ones that you're going to see that are going to have a lot of screen time are probably the ones that are going to be setting up for Phase 4. So you're probably going to see Nova. We know we're going to see Marvel because she's going to launch Phase 4, with that prequel. And then Infinity Gauntlet, when we're done with that, the setup, whatever the post is, the setup for Phase 4, supposedly, Feige said it's going to be Spider-Man, but I personally feel it's Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. If they do get in the Fantastic Four, we know that that's going to be a setup for that. Surfer, set up for that. Nova, as I mentioned, we know Marvel. And I think that let me slow down my thoughts. In the comic book storyline, Nebula is able to get the glove off, and she gets powerful and she gets a little corrupted. It would be interesting if, because remember now they have the glove. They're going to have to restructure the stones and rebuild the glove, or just rebuild the stones with a new glove. If they do keep the old glove, then it makes sense that because that glove is big in size, that it would eventually go in the Hulk because of the size. If they redo the glove, I would create a storyline with Nebula sticking with the comic book, where maybe she is actually the one that kills Thanos, as I mentioned, and she gets the stones or she gets the glove, and she goes a little nutso, little greedy with power, which toward the end, where she doesn't want to give it back. And there's this thing, and thus it's leading into a tie-in to the next Guardians, especially if they leave Gamora lost. Because if they do it properly, which is, I still had the feeling when I saw her as a child that that's how Thanos saw her, and that she was, was hinting that she was still alive. you know. And if you remember, no, I'm incorrect. I'm incorrect because I was going to say one thing. The one thing that I did notice, unless my eyes were playing tricks on me, is that when he killed her and she was lying dead, you saw a bunch of other bodies. Am I by myself in this, or let me know. I thought I saw a couple of other bodies that were lying dead that had gotten thrown off of the cliff. Maybe it's just me. Okay. So we know that Gamora is a high possibility she's still alive. If you set up the next Guardians 3 with Nebula being drunk with power, you already have Adam Warlock inserted in the story, so we're going to see more of him. Now you just have the Guardians minus Gamora, because these we know they're going to come back, and they're on a quest to get back Gamora. That story could be very similar to Empire Strikes Back, if you think about it, because with Han Solo being frozen and them having to go rescue him, right? It's kind of similar if you leave Gamora and now you find out, oh, she's still alive. Now we have to go find her. We have to go get Nebula with the help of Adam. And then you even throw in Aisha somewhere. She's chasing them or whatever. And even throw in a little bit of Nova. And then you bring in the old Guardians of the Galaxy with Stallone and those Stallone, Michelle Yeoh, Ving Rhames, and I can't remember who the fourth person is, because at one point that they were supposed to get, there was rumors of them getting a film. I wouldn't give them a film. I would definitely give them a 6-part series on Netflix, so you could have them come in, and do like a 10-minute cameo in the Guardians 3. And then have them have, like I said, because remember, once Marvel has their channel, I'm hoping that they have like 3 channels where it's like Disney, Marvel, and then Lucas. Don't make it all into one. Or then again, you could do whatever the fuck you want, because then you could have a Lucas channel. You could have a Disney channel. And then when you go into it, it could have a breakdown. Do you want to go Star Wars? Do you want to go Marvel? Do you want to go just Disney? Classics or whatever. And then that could be like a sub inside of Disney classics, whatever. Marvel, Avengers, this, that, Star Wars, classic Star Wars, episodes, and so on and so on. Then you have your series. So yeah, give Stallone and his crew maybe even a 10, but I would say a 6-part. It's nothing that to the point that it gets oversaturated, it gets corny. Because a lot of these shows from Netflix, they get into corniness, and the same thing with the CW shows, which is DC. They get into corniness, going too much. Arrow, which this season is better than Flash to me. Too many episodes. It's decent season, but too many episodes. And I think I've mentioned this before. But anyway, give the original Guardians their little storyline, transition them, because you're going to have to start getting people warmed up to your channel for that, that Marvel channel. So you're going to have to start providing them content, and everything doesn't have to be on the big screen. So it's a nice transition. It's a great setup for Guardians 3. And great setup for the channel, introducing those characters. I just want to write that down. Original. Bear with me, people. Marvel channel. Okay. I just want to be able to put that in the description without forgetting it. So now you already have that set up for your Guardians 3. As far as sequels and things like that, everything gets restored. We already know what's going to happen with Spider-Man. I'm sure he's going to have an affiliation with Tony. I stated that, I don't think Stark is going to die, because they know that people want to see that Illuminati, especially once they find out what they can do with Namor, if they can still do the same thing that they did with the Hulk, where they can't do a whole film with the Hulk, but they can put in Namor. And rumor is that Daniel Day Kim is interested. It would be a great idea to stick with him. I would love to see his career go farther. Especially, I thought I heard somewhere about, oh yeah, there was a rumor that Marvel, this is a while ago, that Marvel was doing some filming in Hawaii, and then we found out it was the Inhumans, and everyone went crazy thinking that it was Namor. So it would have been cool if it was, because Daniel Day Kim was already wrapping up on Hawaii 5-0. So, yeah, it would be cool if you cast him as Namor. If you don't cast him as Namor, cast, I think an interesting casting would be, I can't remember his name, but he was a man that got killed in the Fast and Furious, and he was the attorney in Power. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. He would be cool to put on the list. Anyhow, I mean, damn, man, because I don't really know that much of him. I know from watching the cartoons back in the day, Submariner, but I had no idea that he was of, Asian descent or Oriental descent. So, just imagine the casting on that one. I mean, you're talking about, you can fucking get Jackie Chan. You can get the what's my man's name? The one that's on the Badlands. I mean, wow, you could really, I would love to see, I would love to have seen Michelle Yeoh, but we know she's with the Guardians now, the original. What's the sister's name? I was so sad that I didn't see her anymore. She was in X2. She's from Hawaii. God damn, I see her face too. She was in X2, the one that was fighting Wolverine. I would love to see her in that, Anyway. But yeah, back to Tony Stark. Setting up, I think the ending would just be little teasers. So even if we're not going to get, an Avengers film for a while, I'm cool with that, because you should see growth the next time we see the Avengers. Even if it's not going to be the original core, because there were rumors of, there's going to be an Avengers West Coast. Who's going to be on that squad? I don't know. Not predicting anything, but I think that, I think that they should have a number of post-credit scenes that are going to, do a lot of alluding. Some alluding to Spider-Man, because I thought it would have been a great idea just to get a taste of what you're going to see in the next, in this Infinity Gauntlet. Just, it could have just been 2 minutes, just 2 minutes of action where you just see this new superhero you never saw before, this superhero you never saw before, this one you never saw before, just to get a taste of, like, holy shit, I'm drooling on myself. But they didn't do that. So, will they bring back Captain America, Steve Rogers, with the original guy? Is Chris Evans going to come back? If this is official and they do kill him off completely and he doesn't have a contract, excuse me, I think that Chris Evans, if he's deciding to leave on his own, is making a big mistake, because on the filmmaking side, watching his career, what he's been able to do, the by playing this character, it's definitely put him in a higher profile, because he's directed a film. He had Anthony Mackie in it playing his friend, which was cool, because that they were connecting on the set. It was networking. People, we'll be talking more about that in another episode. where he plays this jazz musician, and it's really kind of like before sunrise, before sunset type of vibe to a Richard Linklater type vibe to it. So he was able to direct that. Uh, he was able to do the film with the when he had the daughter that they wanted to take away the gifted. I think that was the name of it. So it's not like it's really hurting his career and it's really stalling him. He's able to work. He's able to do more things. It's that it puts him. He's like in a James Bond. He and Robert Downey. They're in like a James Bond type of scenario where you have this quote unquote iconic type of character that you're portraying, and it's up to you to kind of make it work. So if you have to sit down with Marvel and go, look, I don't know what you guys are going to do, how you're going to utilize this character. I know we're setting up for phase 4. Chris Hemsworth has already said he's down. He's like, I had so much fun doing Ragnarok. I'm down. So if you guys want to resign me, I want to do a little bit more comedy with this character and still have him be kick-ass. So, if you need me, I'm around. But you know how I feel about the Thor thing. I think that they should maybe, sit him out a little bit just to do the Jane Foster character. That's just my whole shit. Even if it's just whatever, I'm not gonna. Even if fuck it, just do the fucking Jane Foster storyline on your fucking channel. Fuck that with a cameo by Hemsworth. Throughout, he doesn't have to be in it heavy. But put that on your channel. But yeah, he's already said that he wants to, continue playing Thor. And now Thor's getting interesting. I thought the Dark World was better than the first Thor, but Ragnarok supersedes them both. Period. So yeah, Evans should, say, hey, look, I don't know where you need me, but this is what I want to do in my career. I don't want to get pigeonholed in this character, but he's not being pigeonholed because of the things that I've mentioned, the stuff that he's been able to do, with, the films that I've seen him in, and they've been, pretty good stuff, pretty good films. So, I know that he's been rocking this mustache on the press junket, so I'm sure he's probably prepping to do some character. It looks like a scumbag type character, so he's probably in the middle of working on another movie because 4 is already wrapped up, unless they're going to do more reshoots. Avengers Assembled, Infinity Gauntlet is wrapped up. So he's already working on something. It's not like they're really holding him back. Anthony Mackie's going on to do things as well. He's played MLK. I thought I just saw him in something else as well. It's not coming to me right now, but it's not like, oh, you're being held back when you're not, because you're Captain America. I do understand the grueling schedule, but right now is a pivotal point because they're going into phase 4 and your character's not going to be utilized as much because they from what I read and heard is that this is going to be more galactic, more, interplanetary universes into the space side of the phases. So with that being said, pop up in different cameos, pop up in the Fantastic Four real fast, pop up in the sequel to Miss Marvel, just these little pop-ups so that, hey, I'm still here, and also it will keep his ass in the gym so you don't get fucking lazy, keep you, in the gym working out. He's not even fucking 40 yet. I think he's I'm going to say 34, 36, within that range. He isn't even fucking 40 yet. So, I mean, in the way that the aging process is slowing down, because we as humans are evolving, I'm not going to get too scientific and metaphysical. He keeps himself in tip-top fucking shape. Look at Robert Downey. Robert Downey is in his 50s, and he's still athletically fit. I mean, the shit that he's into, the martial arts and his whole lifestyle, his fucking lifestyle is fucking awesome. So it's not like, oh yeah, he's gonna be too old to do da. It's like, with the shit that they can do now, and the think tanks that Marvel has, they should have, they should be almost be at a point where they can foresee what are we gonna do. This is if they go in this direction. What are we gonna do with Cap? Okay, let's build these arcs with him. We're gonna kind of phase him out and build up the next phase 4. We need to utilize him here, 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 here. Okay, we got 10 to 15 times where we can utilize him. Do we have the scripts? Okay, we don't have the scripts. Let's sit down with Chris Evans. Let's tell him this is what we see. We don't know what you want to do, yada, yada. Get him on a contract. And then when they need him, he can come in, shoot green screen. Shoot, just like how he did the cameo in fucking Spider-Man. Come in and get this, do that. Don't fucking throw that shit away, man, because you don't know what the future holds for you. You're going to pull a fucking NYPD Blue move. I can't remember dude's name, who left, the one who ended up in CSI Miami, 89 years later when his fucking career tanked because he thought that he was going to leave NYPD Blue after the first season and go, yeah, I'm going to go do features. I'm going to be big. And every fucking film he did tanked. Don't be that guy. Stay on. We could see another Captain fucking America. This is 2018, right? Let's say they don't film another Captain America until, 2020. Captain America, I think somebody had put a post up of what they saw. What was it? Hold on, I know I have the photo. They did something on Collider. Give me 1 second. It was like, actually, it was the Captain America film that they had put on, that Marvel put on the screen when they were talking about. Let me see, where is it? No, it's not on this list. But it was like Captain America in the like secret army or some shit like that. They could, do that, start that in 2020. But, you're talking about right now you have 3 fucking years. We're mid 2018. So I think he's working on a film now. You got 2019. Let's say he ends up working on another film by the end of this year. Then he gets to do another 2 more films next year because his name is still out there. His face is still out there because you have another fucking Infinity. You have another Avengers film that's out. So he's still going to be hot. He's going to be fucking hot. I mean, hot as far as like his face is going to be around until 2020. So, Infinity is going to be here at least until we even say fucking late June, mid-June, late June, until we get Ant-Man and the Wasp. So his face is still going to be around, and I'm saying that because we're not basically saying that he's not going to be forgotten, So, or even have him in the Black Widow film, just a small cameo, and he can go on and do whatever other projects that he wants to do, but don't throw that one out, dude. That's like your fucking bread and butter. I once heard Stone Cold Steve Austin say that he doesn't like to act as much, but he will make sure that he does a film a year so that he can stay underneath the Screen Actors Guild health insurance because the health insurance is kick-ass. Not saying that, hey, you need that, but what happens if you go on to do 2 films and basically, this is what I'm going to say. What happens if your career becomes Chris Hemsworth? Because every film that he's done that is not Thor does not do fucking well. I have not even seen those films. I'm going to be honest, so I can't even say that they're bad films. And now I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to see the film that he did with Ron Howard. That's based on The Whale, right? That fucking book, right? Yeah. Brain fart. And then 12 such and such, whatever it is, the 12 soldiers. I'm going to see that. So I can look at the character of the properties that he's doing, but those films, they don't do well. They don't have to be gangbusters like the Avengers, but they should put up decent numbers when you're doing projects. Even Robert Downey. When Robert Downey, outside of Sherlock Holmes, which he was smart enough to jump on another franchise, when he did The Juror, didn't do so well. I thought that was a pretty cool film, but it didn't do so well. So don't fucking just throw that shit out. Stay on the cap, have a meeting. How do you guys want to utilize me? Let's come back 2020. Especially when we do the scrolls thing. Better believe it, especially if Infinity transitions into the scrolls as a setup for some other shit. Man, you could fucking forget about it. You could forget about it, because keep in mind, the way that I'm looking at it, for Phase 4, we're looking at Spider-Man. We're looking at Fantastic Four. We're going to be definitely looking at Silver Surfer. And with the Silver Surfer, that depending on how they do it, it could also be seen as a Fantastic Four sequel. I didn't see those original, the original. Oh my God, I just said those originals. Fucked up right there. I didn't see those other Fantastic Four films, the ones that Fox shitted on, and I have no intentions on looking at that. But we know that his first appearance was in the Fantastic Four. So maybe you do a Fantastic Four and then you introduce him and you set it up just how they did, in the because I did see those trailers. Let's not, think that I'm telling the story. So I know how Silver Surfer was introduced in the Fox versions. So I'm looking at Phase 4 Spider-Man, looking at Fantastic Four. We know that they're drumming up Black Widow, Captain Marvel, Nova Corps probably, or Nova. Guardians is also going to play that part with the third one. I don't know, after that onward. We know Black Panther is coming back. And anything else is kind of like up in the air, So as far as I'm concerned, same thing with Thor. Come back with Thor 2020. This gives you a hell of a lot of time. If Taika's going to end up doing the next one, you got 2 years to get a kick-ass script that all goes in alignment with what's going on now. Or this could be basically kind of what DC is doing. And I'm just using them as a reference, not comparing, where the Thor film is going to be a separate Thor film, not related. Which is actually what they kind of did do with Dark World, but it's not related to anything that's going on in the universe. Same thing with Captain America. Nothing related to what's going on in the universe. It's its own separate story. Black Widow, separate story. I want a 6-part arc Hawkeye fucking Netflix. That's what I want. I mean, Netflix. Marvel Studios. Marvel Channel. That shit be dope. Oh man, now I'm just thinking about it. Especially if his family's alive, then you can see his home life. A little bit how he's, a little bit more than what we saw in Ultron. Damn, I wanted to say I still see the Avengers Civil War as another Captain America Civil War as the Avengers, because that keeps popping in my mind. See his family life, see his further his relationship with Natasha. I would like a cameo in the Black Widow film, and I wouldn't mind a cameo of her in his film, even if it's just by a communicator, But yeah, this Infinity War should, basically start setting up. I'm winding it down, folks. Should start setting up, as we already know. I'm saying it like, oh yeah, they better do it. We should already know that this is what they're doing. But you start setting it up for, the projects that are, coming down the pipeline for Phase 4. Chris Evans, he should stay on, even if it's a limited capacity. You'll still be able to do what you want to do. I feel like, as an artist, you should be writing a little bit more and directing a lot more, even if it's just fucking commercials. You've already done a feature, but just keep directing, keep writing, because then you can control your own destiny. And then, you still be signed on to play Captain America and you won't feel as much pressure. I know that, I can't improvise. They wanted to do it exactly how it is, but you got to look at the bigger picture, look at the end game, look at what this character is bringing to you as far as you being able to go on further. Because I'm wondering, I'm a betting person. I'll say that he was able to direct the film that he did direct and get the money because of his popularity now as Captain America. Same thing with Johnny Depp. That's why Johnny Depp won't get rid of the Jack Sparrow. It's opened up so many doors, but the problem is that since he's any project, it's the same thing. Any project that he does not do that's not Jack Sparrow related doesn't do so well. And I know that there was a point where he was kind of in talks to be Doctor Strange, and I don't know what the fuck happened. I think he would have been a really cool ass Doctor Strange, but it is what it is. I would have rather had seen him. I would have rather had seen him over Cumberbatch and definitely over Joaquin Phoenix. I would rather, if you're going to put Joaquin Phoenix in Marvel, let him be fucking Nova. Make him Nova. But I just didn't want to see him as Doctor Strange. But, Cumberbatch, he's fitting the bill, and I can't complain. So, but yeah, I digress. Don't jump ship too early with dumping Steve Rogers. Hold on to him and just, carve your own niche, do your own projects, and then, at that point, when you come back to do Captain America, it's fun now. There's a distance from it after the Avenger films. You get a chance to miss it, kind of walk away from it while you're still in the contract, renegotiate, and you come in, you do what I'm calling spot checks, cameos. Come in this film, 10 minutes on screen. Come in that film, 5 minutes on screen. Then you go back, do your independent stuff, do you, find another franchise or whatever that you go in, because I'm starting to see Chris Evans' career is probably going to be very similar to Ben Affleck's. The actor director that knows, what he's doing, knows what he wants, and it's going to go down that trajectory. So, the only other person I can't speak for is Scarlett Johansson because it's hot and cold with her. I'm going to say more hot than cold when she's not Scarlet Witch. When she's not Black Widow. She has a tendency to do some really good stuff as well. I think the only thing that really tanked was the Ghost in the Machine, concept. So I don't think they should do a sequel to the other film that she did. They should just leave that alone. Excuse me. But I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. My voice is still hoarse, as you can hear. Any final thoughts in closing? I think a nice little bow would be if they can not kill off Thanos completely, but lock him away in a gem. I mean, since he wants to be in the soul gem, or it would have been interesting, just to put a spin on it, they create another stone and fucking throw his ass in there. A place that he doesn't want to be. You lock him in there and they put that one on ice. And you see it like go inside some little jar, like kind of like the Tesseract. It goes in there and it gets put away somewhere in Wakanda or whatever, and it gets buried. Just not buried, but, put in storage. I also want to say, I'm wondering if they're going to, since we're doing a time thing, or if when we see T'Challa, how they're going to be able to, if they're going to bring in the heart-shaped herb, heart-shaped flower back into existence in the Infinity Gauntlet. See, all these, like I'm saying, like they should be like setups to the next thing where you're discovering how we're going to get out of this. But in the meantime, oh, we unlocked this, we found a way how to do this. Okay, now we've already set that up for Black Panther. Okay, we've done this. Now we've already set that up for this movie. So I had something else I was going to say that popped in my brain really fast. Was it Thanos related? No. Yeah, it's gone, folks. Sorry. If it is, I'll put it in the comments. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up right now. Thank you for listening again. We're in an hour, just about 57 minutes or so. 50-something minutes, because I'm going to probably, whatever. Thank you again for listening to the sound of my irritating, scratchy voice. And I look forward to doing another podcast for Ant-Man and the Wasp when that drops. I like what I'm seeing. So stay tuned for some other things. Oh, I'm going to do some guilty pleasures. I'm going to drop a guilty pleasure of a film that I saw that I think that you guys and gals should check out. So, stay tuned for that as well. On that note, I bid you all an adieu. Thank you for taking the time to listen in and on my feedback as to what's going to happen. I also did predict that Nick Fury was going to die in this film, and I was right. But not in the way that I envisioned. But I didn't envision them all going out like that. I thought that he was going to get bumped and Bucky was going to take over as the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. But if this is the case and we're bringing back Agent Carlson, then that's not going to happen. And now that I know they've been calling him the White Wolf, he's going to probably hang out with T'Challa a lot. I don't foresee a White Wolf or Winter Soldier type of, own storyline, own feature, but we probably will see him in Black Panther. And again, if you want to investigate that character, you have your own channel, 3-part story arc. Doesn't have to be 6, 3-part story arc, each one an hour. Rock it that way, and I'm going to pose a question that I'm going to put on going to pose a question. I don't wonder if I should do it now or I should wait. You know what? I'll do it in another episode. That's what I'll do. Give you a little teaser. Pose a very interesting question that hit me. In fact, I'm going to write it down so that I don't forget. And on that note, thank you once again. It's my third thank you for joining me and listening to my irritating voice on this podcast. I'm hoping that this is going to clear out soon. Hold on, I'm just writing this down. Like shorthand. Thank you for joining me once again. I'm just looking for filler now, folks. Sorry. Oh my God. Sounds so horrible. I'm going to end it because I don't want to put you guys through this torture. Thank you. Jabella. See you soon. Going to have a very interesting podcast coming up. As I had mentioned in the other episode, I'm not going to tell you what it is. And I'm not sure if it's going to be in parts or not. I can tell you that much, but it's going to be something that you're not expecting. It's going to from left. It's going to be very artistic. I put it that way. So I bid you adieu. Take care. Have a great day. Summer's coming. Summer's here for some people. Summer's here all year round for most. Peace. Later. Arrivederci. Jabella and all that good stuff. Have a great breakfast and lunch and dinner.